and welcome back to Let's Play Crusader Kings 2. So if you'll remember from last time, we took over all of this territory from Castile. So we're in a little bit of a pickle. We have a lot of issues with our demesnes. We have, problems with our vassals and so forth. So what we need to do is we need to kind of work a little bit on our home territory before we're able to do much. I wanted to talk a little bit about titles. I've mentioned them a little bit in earlier videos, but they're becoming more and more of an issue as we expand. So I'm going to talk a little bit about them first. So as I've mentioned, there's basically 5 layers of titles. The first is an empire. The highest is an empire, and right now the only empires are the Holy Roman Empire, which has this, and notice they have this little purple thing around it. And then the next one below that is a kingdom, which is what we are. Then you have dukes or emirs, which is this. There's also counts and barons. So the way it works is when you have a sheikdom, or so for example, this guy, all of these baronies should be under his control. He should be able to they should be his vassals. So if you look, he has these 2 vassals, and those are his vassals. And so if I were to control those vassals, he would have problems with me. The same goes for a duke. The way it works is it's all of this stuff is basically de jure. So here's all the de jure duchies. So notice that I always try to, like this guy, the Emir Suleiman of Leon, has control of these 3 territories. This guy is his vassal. He has control of these 3 territories, and that also matches up with the de jure duchy. So essentially what the key is in this game is to make sure that your duchies, your dukes, do not expand beyond these de jure limits, and if they do, to try to contain them to those de jure limits. So I always, like I've mentioned before, I always try to have my character have control over the most powerful duchy. So right now I have control over this duchy here, and I also have control over this one. I'm going to switch that. Well, I'm actually not going to do anything. I'm going to keep it like this for now. I was thinking I might keep this one, this duchy here, but the problem with doing that is that those are all Catholic, and so I don't know how long it'll take for those to convert. So having direct control over Catholic stuff is not really worth it. Also, Leon has those territories. But essentially, you always want to create or usurp titles because you want the maximum amount of hierarchy. So right now, my guy, at the end of the last episode, I usurped a duchy from this guy here, who was previously the Duke of, I guess, Badajoz. I usurped it from him and took it for myself because I was like, well, I can. I wanted to do that because that way I have control over who has the duchy, and I can give it out. And that means that Duke, for at least a while, until my guy or the Duke dies, will be extremely loyal to me. Also, it prevents... So, this is a situation I'll talk about. So, this guy, if you notice his duchy, de jure duchy, is these 2 territories. In order to usurp a duchy, you have to have like half or more than half of the de jure territories. So this is a duchy that has only 2 territories. So this queen here could theoretically usurp the duchy from my guy. Basically, having the duchies allows you to go to war for your vassals. It also allows you to do a lot of things. So it's always worth it to create those titles or to usurp them when possible, because that basically just gives you more options. The reason that titles matter in that sense is that, you can and you want to get them as often as possible. You don't want to let somebody usurp it. So for example, if I gave this guy the sheikdom here and I didn't usurp the duchy, then he could usurp it. And so that would actually, then I would have no power over this guy. I would not have granted him his title. He would owe me nothing. it's all kind of, like I mentioned, this game is all about controlling your vassals. Another key thing to know is, so I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. So this guy, right, he's my direct vassal. He controls Calatrava and La Mancha. I don't like that because not only is he a Catholic, but he has 2 of these territories, and he dislikes me. Well, he doesn't dislike me, but I'm going to take his territory. I can because he's Catholic and my crown laws allow me to. So I'm just going to be like, okay, taking it. And we'll see if he rebels. If he does, we can easily win. But that's what I tend to do. Like, I tend to try to take as many territories from Catholics as possible before I give up. So, like, I don't have a treaty with these guys, so it's easy for me to take their territories. And this is really a brief, you have a brief window in order to do this. So here we go. I took the Sheikhdom of Calatrava from that guy. I took the Sheikhdom of Caceres from that guy, and I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to take the last title from him. Take Alcantara from this guy. Take La Mancha from this guy. And then I'll redistribute those among my more loyal vassals. So now that guy is, you know, somewhere else. He left my entire area, and now I have control of way too many territories. You know, the vassals are an issue in this game. They can, like, especially now that there's this faction system, there will no doubt be major rebellions we will have. Like, this guy himself is way too strong. Like, he's already, this guy alone is as powerful, like almost as powerful as our guys, and you can see that. Like, you know, here he has 22% of my total troops value. So right now I can only levy 8,000 men total. So it's a big problem. And the reason is because I just took all these territories. I have this extremely inefficient defense, and I need to redistribute these territories. So the titles, basically all they do is allow you to have the option of and make it more stratified, so you don't have to deal with less vassals. So, like, for example, you'll note that I have all these sheiks here and these barons. I don't really like having all these barons. Is actually not great, because that just makes it more difficult for me to you know, follow them. Like, the more dukes I have, the more logical it is. It's better. Actually, where are all my dukes? Okay, yeah. So I have 4 dukes, and then a bunch of sheiks, and then a bunch of barons. So, and the reason is because I just have so many of these de jure things. So in order to get rid of those, I need to start making first sheiks and then dukes. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to spend a little bit of time looking through my characters. I tend to prioritize skills, but I also pay attention to their family. So, for example, this guy is this Rasikid family, and I think this guy is also that family. In other words, I don't want anyone from his family, I don't want anyone from the Rasikid family to get any more territory, because that way these guys could inherit it, you know, or something. Like, they will be closely linked. So I do pay attention to that. I don't pay attention to it a huge amount, but basically I just want men, and I just look for I tend to just look for the highest stewardship. I put him in a powerful territory. So in this case, I've already got this guy. He's got really good stewardship. I'm gonna make him the Emir once I make these 3 here. So I like to have, you know, I like to give him a nice little mix so that he's able to efficiently run his territory. So, and another thing is I pay attention to the religion. So here's a bunch of these, you know, Catholic territories. I don't want that. So I'm gonna give them that guy, this guy here, Sayyid. He's a vassal of this sheik here. I'm gonna give this guy Caceres. I'm doing that because then what'll probably happen is the guy from Badajoz will become the Emir. He'll then use this guy to convert these territories, and that's what we want. We want Sunni, a staunch Sunni in power in these areas so that they can be converted. So now Caceres is this guy's. Let's give him somebody else. Let's give him somebody who's good at diplomacy. I tend to not give anybody who's good with intrigue, and I tend to not give anybody somebody who's good with martial. It's because they could rebel, and those guys would be vassals of him. And intrigue is always scary. So somebody who's high in, you know, in diplomacy. Let's give him this guy, Alcantara. We'll give him Alcantara. Sure. Also, something we can do now that I am such a high, like so much territory. Having any baronies, or in this case a willia, is worthless. No point. Always just ditch your willias once you get to about where I am. Maybe even a little earlier. I hung on to that just for posterity. But it just takes up demesne size, and there are far more valuable things you could be doing with your demesnes. So I've got these 3 guys. I need one more guy. So let's make him. This guy, see, I don't want to give him the next best guy in stewardship, or even this guy. So these 2 guys right here, Abbas and Malik, will be probably my next 2. Well, let's actually look at this. What's the deal with his family? His family's got a nice high decadence level, and the reason is because this guy is an Emir. What's he the Emir of? He's an Emir in this emirate, or in this kingdom. So giving that guy this might be a problem, because then he might inherit out of it, or he might gain territory here down the line, which we don't want. So I'm actually not going to give that guy any territory, even though he's probably the best choice. You have to make these decisions. So let's look at this guy. This guy, Jafar here, looks to be a much better choice. His family has a low decadence. He has a brother who is a Sheikh, but he can't really get much more powerful. Sheikhs, I tend to not worry that much about, so I'm going to give this guy, I'm going to give him Toledo. And so now, this guy is the Sheikh of Toledo, and now I need to worry only about Placentia. So you have to constantly do this. You have to search the realm, and I never give territory to somebody who's already got territory. So a baron or a sheik here, these guys are not worth it. And you look at the family and you can see. So yeah, that's sort of what I do. And the Junidid here, these guys used to be powerful. I think that they were this emirate here that was once strong, that Castile and France destroyed. So I don't know what they have. This guy right here, Mumbashir, looks pretty good. We're going to give him Placentia. And I've done this before, but I'm going through it step by step slowly so that it's easier for everybody to understand. So this guy just got Placentia. So now I have these 4 direct vassals. Now, I could keep it like that, but the problem is they all will dislike me somewhat, because if you'll note, it says desires the emirate of Badajoz. All of them desire the emirate of Badajoz. So they all desire the emirate of Badajoz. Another thing is I have too many duchies, and the reason is if you have more than 2 duchies, your vassals start to resent you. So I have 5. So that means that for each one over 2 I have, they have this negative 10 disposition hit. So negative 30, as you see there. So giving a territory to a sheik is actually a really good idea, because you won't have to worry about these desires, the Sheikh Emirate of Badajoz, and these little disposition hits you can avoid. Also, I don't have to worry about 4 separate vassals in these territories. The Sheikh or the Emir might be somewhat stronger than any one of these individual vassals, but the problem is I need as many troops as I can get. So having one Emir who really likes me will give me the maximum amount of troops I can get, and that will be more valuable over a long period of time than having 4 individual vassals who may or might not like me. So I'm just going to wait until this guy converts, because I don't want to give any territory. So like, I might give a territory to a Sunni or to a non-Sunni guy, but I have to make sure that they convert before I give this guy the emirate. And the reason is because of my crown laws. you saw what I did to these guys. I just totally dispossessed them of their land without a fight. These guys, the emirs, can do the same. So essentially what I would have been doing is if I would have just left that guy as an Ibadi, this guy could have just been like, oh, you're an Ibadi, I can just take your Sheikhdom immediately. So he could have immediately been Bauhaus and Alcantara, and that would have given him a leg up on conquering these guys. So we don't want that to happen. We want them to be basically fragmented. So let's grant this guy the Emirate of Bauhaus here. So now we have these we have a new emirate. This guy is now a huge supporter of mine, loves me, and this, so, you know, that's great. And we need to do that for these two others also. So let's do that. And another thing that's important is this guy, right, is a Wali. So you'll notice that he has a wrong government type disposition. I've mentioned this many times, and we in fact went to war over this. It's a republic. So what this means is that if I were to give him an emirate, it would become a Wali emirate. So it would still have this -30 wrong government type restriction. Now if I were to give this duke here, if I were to make a duke here in Calatrava, then it would be better, because then this wrong government type disposition hit would go towards him, and I wouldn't have to worry about this guy anymore. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a guy with a high stewardship, and I always prioritize stewardship because that gives me higher taxes. That's my whole logic. So, you know, this guy has 18 stewardship. I'll give him Calatrava. And I will also give a high disposition, or a high diplomacy guy, La Mancha. Now, this guy's in a body. So I'm not actually going to do that. Don't want to give Saeed it. Okay, we'll give this guy La Mancha, and he's an Abadid. So this is a different house Abadid. It's pretty annoying and confusing, but I can't do much about it. So we'll give him La Mancha. Now we'll grant this guy the Emirate of Cordoba here, and that will fix all our problems. This guy is no longer a problem for us because we don't have wrong government type. He's now this guy's problem, and we have one less stupid. Well, we also got rid of our court imam, so that's all right. Now this guy hates us, so well. So this is a situation where I'm probably actually gonna use a bit of intrigue here and get more holy men. And the thing is, I just need a good court imam right now. So perfect. Actually, wow, we got some really good people. So great, we got a good court imam. We're gonna use him to convert. I guess the most logical place we should first start is call it Caceres here. So doesn't have a very high chance because our moral authority is garbage, but it's better than none. So let's do that.